31 years since this album came out. You want to hear some facts about this?
See if I know them. I bet I know a lot of these.
Some of them are going to be easy. When David Lee Roth left the band, Warner Brothers wanted him to change the name to what?
From Van Halen to
When they hired Sammy.
Van Hagar.
Yep. The band worked on the album for 3 months and completed it in February of 1986, just 1 month before its release. The album is named after what, Spanish?
The album is named after...
The album is called 5150. What does that mean?
That means that 51% of the band is...
Dizzy, you want to guess?
51 because they added Puerto Rico to the States.
No.
Okay, that was close.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I know.
Joe, do you know?
Joe?
I have no idea.
Galvin?
5150 is the police code for a crazy person.
Oh, really?
okay.
Yes.
Oh.
It's the California police term for a mentally unstable person, which comes from the section 5150 of the California Welfare and Institutions Code. 5150 is also the name now of Eddie Van Halen's home studio.
Which I love. They had 5150, and then David Lee Roth put out Eat 'em and Smile, and then they came back out with OU812, which I thought was great.
Then a punk band came out with I Ate One Before You. The phrase "Play Me Loud" is etched into the vinyl version of the album, just under the label. Tensions ran so high during the recording of 5150 that engineer Don Landy locked himself in the studio and threatened to burn all the tapes if the group had been working on.
I was watching a thing because I think they just released a box set, and this is part of it, 5150 on vinyl and stuff. And Sammy Hagar was saying that they recorded that, like they put the songs together. He goes, it was like 10 days.
Yeah.
He goes, which seems like we threw it together. He goes, but it was just magic. Like it was great. He was talking about that song. He goes, when Eddie first started playing that, he was like, oh, I can write to this. He goes, for sure. But the interesting thing was that it was Mick Jones from Foreigner was the producer of this, and him and Don Landy were the only two guys in there besides the band. They didn't let anybody else in. And then when people from Warner Brothers or whoever the label was came, it was like the two top guys, and they played Why Can't This Be Love? They played it live. They didn't even play the recording. And the one guy goes, I smell money, which was
He
great.
was right.
Like Galvin said, Foreigners, Mick Jones was one of the producers. Ted Templeman, the longtime producer, chose to work with David Lee Roth instead on his solo record. 5150 was Van Halen's first album to not have any instrumental tracks. The mythical god Atlas on the album cover was portrayed by Rick Valenti, who's a former bodybuilder and host of the ESPN show Body Shaping. That is one thing I didn't know who that was, and I'm surprised you don't see that guy more. Hey, I'm Rick Valenti. You know me from Van Halen.
Right,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
You never see that.
Yeah, he's not doing a lawsuit like the baby from Nirvana.
Why Can't This Be Love reached number 3. Dreams was the next single off of that album, and that reached number 22. In 1995, Dreams was included in the soundtrack for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Oh,
yeah.
Video is great with the Blue Angels.
Sammy Hagar was talking about one night they got done recording at the studio, and him, Eddie, and Mick Jones all had their cars. He had like a Ferrari, Eddie had a Lamborghini, and Mick Jones, being Foreigner, had a Corvette because that was a foreign car for him. And he said they raced through the Hollywood Hills. He goes, I'm surprised we lived through that. He goes, it was just crazy.
Sammy Hagar said if he had to pick a favorite Van Halen song, it would be Dreams. Along with Dreams and Why Can't This Be Love, the other singles from the album were Love Walks In, which peaked at 22. You love that song?
I do.
And
love
my
that song.
favorite is Summer Nights and Best of Worlds, which did not chart. The opening track off the album, Good Enough, was in the movie Spaceballs. The album was Van Halen's first number 1 record. Imagine losing David Lee Roth, wondering where you're going to go, and now you have a number 1 record.
Yeah, Sammy was talking about that. He said they locked himself in the dressing room. It was just the band, whatever, and that was all their first number 1. And he goes, it was just so crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah, think about that coming together, because there's so many people that are like, what, Sammy Hagar? You're never going to replace David Lee Roth, and then they have number 1 album.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I like Sammy Hagar better, I'm going to be honest.
So do I. Like, if I was going to go see them in concert now, I'd want to see Sammy with Eddie.
So, yeah.
But
I'm glad I saw David Lee Roth
So
with you
am I.
guys, because that was a very unique experience, but I prefer Sammy Hagar. Van
I
Halen.
like the David Lee Roth era of Van Halen better. I like Sammy a lot, and I've seen Sammy a bunch, solo and with Van Halen and stuff. He's the better singer, certainly.
Yeah.
But David Lee Roth was just the front man. Like, he was it, man. He was just cool. everything about him and stuff. Now it's kind of sad and weird.
Yeah.
because he doesn't do it. But
He's gonna come to the meetings.
he's gonna go to the sad weirdos.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know we saw the David Lee Roth reunion
Yeah.
at the Emily Arena, and then what did we see at the amphitheater with Wolfgang? We remember
That was David Lee Roth.
So we saw him twice.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about. It.
I only saw him once. Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, and we went to the sound thing.
Yeah, the sound check.
Yeah.
Awesome.
5150 is 6 times platinum, which means it sold in excess of 6 million units, and they had auditioned other singers before Sammy Hagar. Do you know who the other singers are?
I know that Eddie actually wanted Patty Smythe from Scandal.
Yep.
He wanted her to be their singer.
That would be weird.
I thought that
She had a song out at the time. They had The Warrior came out, and she was little and she was cute. It wouldn't have been the same, but it would have been an experiment.
I know one that they said that they really wanted was Daryl Hall.
Yeah, that is weird. I heard Daryl Hall talk
Yeah.
about that. Also, Eric Martin from Mr. Big.
Yeah, who's
auditioned
great.
for the band. I
Who's
didn't know
great.
that. Yeah, that's interesting. It's good stuff.
I always thought that I don't know. Does the timeline work out? So that was 1986. Let me see. When
My
did
sophomore year in high school, and it was really the first time that I had gone to third base with Danielle Mazzola. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
Gross.
you know, look who's on the show today.
I've been here the whole time.
So after Sammy left and they got Gary Cherone from Extreme, I thought that was the perfect timing to get Sebastian Bach from Skid Row.
Ooh.
I thought that would have worked out really well.
Same vibe as David Lee Roth, I feel like.
Yeah,
But isn't he like a?
can't deal with him?
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, isn't he like a pain to work with? Like
Yes.
no one wants to work with him.
Yes, and much like David Lee Roth. Yeah. That
Skid Row would rather be poor
Yeah,
than
dude.
bring in Sebastian Bach.
most great frontmen are annoying, and you don't want to work with them.
He's talking about you, Josh.
Oh, I was not.